Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the League Racing TV channel for the second part of the Division 3 race today. If you're just tuning into our stream now, you may be wondering why we're not having qualifying and why we might have started late. We did just have qualifying, but unfortunately we had a little bit of a lobby glitch, which has unfortunately caused the game to crash for pretty much everyone in the lobby. So that means that for this, so thank you to Old School, our lobby host, for doing the custom grid for us. He's done it. Got it sorted nice and quickly, so we are back in for the full race now. And if you haven't tuned into qualifying, it is Mashiro on pole position once again this season. Old School on the front row for the first time since Vietnam, the second round of the season. So a bit of a truncated field this time round. Our championship winner F1 AMG third on the grid ahead of Lighty fourth on the grid, his best qualifying of the season. And obviously with this new race format now, it did look like that we could possibly have wet conditions for this race, but I think because of how the game system works now, it will just be overcast for the majority of the race, which means that we might see a little bit of a different strategy played out for the people starting outside of the top 10. But just to recap on qualifying, obviously Mashiro with another brilliant pole position, but Lighty really the standout performer in qualifying, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was P4 highest position so far for him, highest starting position. So yeah, he did really good, and he had a poor start of the season. And yeah, since last week he's coming back, and he's coming back hard.
He really is, yeah. He's really upping the pace, ready for next season, and next season obviously starts in a few weeks' time anyway, so he can build on this momentum going into the first round next time out, which will be very interesting to see what his pace is. And obviously the Division 3 field will change, so we'll have to wait and see who stays and who goes from this division. But the battles that we've had so far in the midfield show that this division is very, very close throughout, so it's going to be a great championship no matter what next season as well. So let's have a double check and see what strategies everyone is on. I think everyone should still be on the same tyres. Actually, instead of Flores has gone for the medium, so he's gone for a different set of tyres to what he was initially on in the previous race. However, the race didn't get underway, so I wonder whether Flores might be able to get away with that one. The race didn't actually get underway itself, so he's on a different strategy this time around. But he's the only one on that alternate strategy. Everyone else is on the soft compound tyres. So that was Langfell, I think, nearly putting the car in the wall down the back straight there, so really trying to get his tyres warmed up. And with the overcast conditions as well, while it may help a little bit with tyre wear, tyre temperatures around this track, especially with it being this overcast and a short track, it's going to be very, very difficult for those tyres to heat up properly, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And if your tyres are too cold in this track, especially you've got in the second sector the hairpin like corners, you're going to be struggling really hard to get the traction on track.
Yeah,
and I was just thinking, the one who was benefiting the most of this situation is Steve, because he qualified on 3-lap old soft tires, so lucky Steve.
Yeah, lucky Steve. Yeah, that was one talking point qualifying, is that he set his best up on his third lap on that set of softs and then couldn't improve. So he's managed to get away with it. So he's probably very happy that the lobby got restarted. So he's now on the same set of soft compound tyres as everyone in front of him. Lighty was another one as well who set his time on his second lap on the soft compound tyres. So he's got away with that as well. So they're now all running the same fresh set of soft compound tyres. So it's now a level playing field at the front of the field. If you missed the end of the last stream as well, Conti predicted that Mashiro would win the race from F1 AMG and Lighty on the podium, and I would probably say the same thing. I'd probably say Mashiro looks very fast around here, and he wants to steal that second place in the championship off of Sejonis. It's the first time in 3 seasons that Mashiro hasn't won in the division he's in, so he's looking to get the best result he can this time round. So everyone is lined up, and it looks like we are ready to go finally for the Brazilian Grand Prix, the last round of the season. Who's going to get the best start off of the front row? The lights are out and away they go, and it looks a fairly even start off the front of the grid. F1 AMG in third. Looks like he's had a brilliant start. There's someone in the background going for a move as well. That was one of the Williams going backwards, it looked like. Around turn 1 they go. F1 AMG with F1 AMG with another brilliant start round the outside of Old School at turn 1. Makes the move stick and is up into second place already. Old School drops down to third. Old School, known for dropping down the field really on first laps, is not quite mastered that as of yet. They come into the end of the first sector. Then Langfell's had a brilliant start in the Williams. He's already up to 4th place from 6th on the grid, and he's looking to try and get past Old School as well, coming up towards and he looks to the inside, but he's not quite close enough to make the move stick, although Old School does run a little bit wide, but he takes the tighter line coming out of the corner into turn 7, so he's going to get away with that one for the time being. Langfell, though, up to 4th. Lighty drops to 5th, as does Jono. He drops a place, he drops down into 6th. Jan 7th ahead of Steve is up to 8th. To Jonas, the one that dropped back in that battle for 2nd in the championship. He needed to work his way forwards, and I think for the first time this Jonas has lost places on the opening lap. He's down to 9th. Sean's up into 10th. Isotopic, who's battling for 4th in the standings, has dropped to 11th, so he's also dropped places as well. JD Nolan just runs into the back of him there as well through turn 12, and he's lost a lot of his front wing, so JD Nolan's probably going to have to come into the pit lane to repair that damage. Flores rounds off people at the moment at the end of the first lap, but it is still Mashira that leads the way. 1.5 seconds clear already of F1 AMG. Has built out such a lead on this first lap. Old School trying to come back at F1 AMG into turn 1, but not quite close enough. They're all running in a queue all the way down to Sean in 10th at the moment, then a bit of a gap back to Isotopic, who's had a bit of a poor first lap. JD Nolan stayed out on the track with that damage. He's continuing on for the time being, coming through the first set to then. Mashira still leads from F1 AMG, and then it is Old School in first, Old School in 3rd place. Unfortunately, Conti has left the session, so fingers crossed by Co-Coms can get back into the lobby. But yeah, Old School still running in 3rd place at the moment. Langfell 4th. Lighty, though, all over the back of Langfell, coming through the middle part of the lap, trying to get up the inside for turn 7, but he's not, for turn 8, sorry, he's not quite close enough. Now going to have to stick behind really through this middle part of the lap. A lot of slow corners here, unless Lighty can get a good run up towards turn 10, but he's not quite close enough, so he stays in behind for the time being. Yono and Tejonis looking fast as well in 6th and 7th place. Tejonis has made his way back up into 7th already. He dropped to 9th. He's already back ahead of Jan and Steve, who look like they may have come into contact at some point in this lap. They have dropped down the field once again. Sean's now up into 8th place, so capitalizing on mistakes of other people. Isotopic has re-caught this queue of cars. He's now on the back of Steve, trying to get through. Mashira with the fastest lap of the race. Old School once again looking close to the back of F1 AMG, but not quite close enough. Mashira now with a 2.2 second lead. He's absolutely flown away out front. This is probably the most dominant we've seen Mashira at the start of a race so far this season. Langfell gets a brilliant run through the center S, coming down the back straight. Can he get to the inside of Old School? But he has DRS in his defense as well, and Langfell's used up a lot of his DRS in these opening laps to try and get past Old School, but he can't get the move done at turn 4, so he stays in 4th place for the time being. But what an opening couple laps of Mashiro. He is up and on at the front of the field.
Yeah, I can't see the interval times yet because I just rejoined, but yeah, if I listen to you, Mashiro's doing the same F1 AMG as done the last couple of races. Just starting P1 and drive away, let the rest battle away and drive his own race. So yeah, good job, good job from him.
This is one thing we haven't seen all season I thought I would never see. F1 AMG is at a head of a queue and is holding a lot of people up here. It's really struggling for pace, and Old School's already trying to go down the inside. F1 AMG is nearly in the wall trying to move out the way of Old School down the straight, and F1 AMG I think tried to come in the pit lane there, but Langfell was up the inside, so he had to back out, and now he's losing all sorts of places because of it, and there's massive carnage in the background. Everyone trying to move out the way of F1 AMG is slowing down. Yono has come into contact, I believe, with Tejonis, and Tejonis has ended up crashing, unfortunately, into the pit wall because of it. So Jonas has lost the majority of his front wing. We do have a full safety car for debris down the pit straight, so that somewhat will save to Jonas in this one. But Jono to Jonas, and I believe as well Lighty involved in that as well, but I think he's got away with it. They were all moving out of the way of F1 AMG, who was miles off the pace, and because of all that carnage, to Jonas has ended up in the wall.
Yeah, I really didn't expect to say that, but can't be it. Does F1 AMG have some sort of damage or anything? Because I've never seen him off pace like that. A couple of people just have to get out of the way of him, and there's some risky situations on track.
It's a very, very odd situation to be in. It looked like he did try and dive into the pit lane, but as he tried to dive in the pit lane, Langfell was already at the inside, so he couldn't get there, and F1 AMG had to back out, which meant he was just way off the pace down the straight, having lifted off to get into the pit lane. And now he's left the session, unfortunately, as well, so fingers crossed he can get back in before the safety car goes in. But F1 AMG, after winning the championship, not the end of the season he probably would have wanted to finish off the season on another high, and it's not going to happen for him. Who's into the pit lane? Mashiro's in. Race leader into the pit lane. Jono in to replace his front wing. Jan is into the pit lane as well. Who else is into the pit lane? Tejonis has come in to replace his front wing, but Mashiro at the end of lap 4 deciding to come in and put the medium compound tyres on. They are definitely not going to make it to the end of the race, and this 31 laps on a set of medium tyres is absolutely impossible at the best of tracks. So Mashiro's going to have to pit again in this race. Mashiro is going to be hoping that he has got some searing pace to try and work his way back through the field here.
Yeah, he does, because I really don't understand. I mean, I could understand an early pit and just go into the hards, but the mediums there, he's definitely gonna have to stop again, and I think he's betting on a second safety car as F1 AMG is back in the session, luckily. But yeah, he has to be betting on a second safety car to finish on the soft tires, as the rest are probably gonna be on the hard tires and some on the mediums.
I'm wondering whether Mashiro has been blinded by his own pace at the start of the race, because obviously by the time that the safety car came out, Mashiro had built a near 4-second lead over the rest of the field, but that was kind of because F1 AMG was way off the pace and was holding people up. So I wonder whether Mashiro thought he had that raw speed and thought, well, if he puts the medium tyres on, he'll still have that advantage and he'll be able to work his way through the field. But that's just that won't be the case, and unfortunately Jan's done the same. So Jan in the second Mercedes, he's gone on to the medium tyres as well. So the only people that have committed to the hard tyres now were Jono and Tejonis. JD Nolan pitted for the hards a lap previous to replace his front wing anyway, so he's allowed to catch up to the back of the safety car queue. But now, despite crashing into each other, this is in a way actually almost kind of helped Jono and Tejonis, because now they could probably get those hard tyres to the end of the race without having to stop again.
Yeah, they can. So that's one thing. It's definitely not gonna rain. It's just gonna stay overcasted today. But what's going on with Lighty and F1 AMG? They are overtaking each other under the safety car and in positions back. What's going on there?
Unfortunately, I think what has happened. This is a regular which I've seen a couple times before, in that F1 AMG accidentally looked like he passed Lighty down into turn 1. Then F1 AMG tried to give the position back to Lighty, but then the game has told Lighty that he's illegally overtaken F1 AMG. So Lighty, behind the safety car, has been caught out by F1 AMG accidentally overtaking him, and it's meant that Lighty's lost the pace on track, which is, again, just another problem with this game. There's just another problem we've had behind the safety car. I've noticed it a couple times before, that it doesn't pick up the illegal overtake to begin with, but trying to regain your place is not allowed. So it looks like Lighty, unfortunately, has been caught out by a glitch here.
Yeah, one of many of Cody's glitches.
Yeah, another one to add to the list. If you're keeping a tally or keeping a score of how many glitches happen in a race, then you probably have at least 3 or 4 already to your tally today. So you can keep that going. Safety car will be in this lap. Everyone has caught up to the queue of cars, so the start of lap 7 will be the restart of this race. This does mean those that were maybe struggling to get to do a soft medium strategy in this race should be able to pretty easily pull that one off now. So we'll have to wait and see what the pace is like for the rest of the field. Old School will lead the field back to green in the Renault, in prime position to take 4th in the championship, with Isotopic his closest rival, and Steve as well, who's level on points with in 6th and 7th. Old School at the front of the field now leading the queue, and he's gone just before that DRS line. Is gone and is ready to get racing again. Langfeld, though, has had a brilliant restart in the Williams. He's kept right to the back of Old School. Lighty's under pressure a little bit from Sean down into turn 1, but Sean isn't going to go for a move. They're nice and neat into turn 1. Sean does have a little look down the inside, but isn't close enough. Jan's already passed Flores. Jan's passed 2 people down that straight, so he's made his way past both Shira and Flores, but it looks like he's probably done that before the actual start-finish line has happened, and Valores has actually spun the car through the third part of the center S, and he's managed to keep it out the wall, but that's cost him big time. Jonas under pressure from JD Nolan, and Jonas turns across JD Nolan there, and JD Nolan picks up some front wing damage at some point in there as well, so JD Nolan continuing to fall down through the field, unfortunately. Just a bit of contact with the side of Jonas' car. Yono is in 10th, Mashiro 9th. Jan seems to have made those passes before the start-finish line, so he'll probably get a penalty for that if it is investigated. Steve then in 7th place, handling the back of Isotopic, but not quite close enough. Old School still leads, but he hasn't broken DRS to the drivers behind. Langfeld doing well to keep within his grasp. F1 MG seems to have sorted out the pace issues that he had, so he's currently running in 3rd place, and on the back of the Williams. Lighty in 4th, Sean in 5th. So Sean at the moment in 5th, running the best he has all season, and he's in a good position here to try and get some good some good points to finish off his season as well.
Yeah, and he really deserves it as well. I mean, we've seen in the past that he's a quick driver, good aggressive driver in a good way. So yeah, he deserves a finish higher up than he did this season, as JD Nolan crashed out.
I think his return in the pit lane, unfortunately, is JD Nolan to another front wing change, and the damage there means that it seems that JD Nolan's final race of the season has come to retirement before the 10th lap of the race. Unfortunately for him, that is such a shame. It could have been a great opportunity for him to score some good points in what has so far been a little bit of a chaotic race. It's been a a really chaotic race. We're not even a third of the way through this race yet, so there's still a lot more to come in this one. Old School still leads the way then, but it's only 0.6 of a second. We are seeing another one of those famous DRS trains forming here in Brazil. That it's very easy to form these DRS trains because the opening, well, the end of the lap, the final sector, and the majority of the first sector is incredibly high speed, and you're running in someone's slipstream for the majority of that time, so it's very easy to stay with the car in front, and then the dirty air doesn't really affect you in the middle part of the lap because of how slow speed the middle part of the lap is. So Old School leads the way, half a second ahead of Langfell. Got to keep an eye out on ERS management as well to see who is using the most, and at the moment it is Old School who is using the most. It's down to 20% already, as Mashiro is going for a move on Jan, trying to retake that 8th place. It's gone round the outside of him, it looked like they're coming up towards turn 1. Does Jan try and fight that one back? He isn't close enough to do so. So Mashiro up into 8th place, but on those medium tyres, not on the back of the DRS queue, Mashiro is not making the progress he needs to make this strategy work.
No, and he's losing every corner, he's losing time. So, and there is going to be a point that turning point for the soft tires, and the mediums will be faster, but it's not yet there.
Yeah, not yet there, and with the safety car as well, that's helped extend that margin out for the soft runners so they can go a little bit further into this race. Maybe look for the soft runners to come in maybe around lap 13, 14 in this one and put the medium tyres on to take them to the end of the race. Looking in this pack of soft runners at the moment, it looks like Old School is probably one of the slower of the drivers in this queue. Steve in the Red Bull starting to lose touch a little bit with Isotopic in front. He's not quite able to keep pace with the Alfa Romeo driver. Just looking at ERS usage as well, at the moment Langfell the man with the most ERS, but he is using quite a lot of it here, so it looks like Langfell wants to go for the move on Old School. He thinks he's being held up and he's using all of his reserves of ERS. He's going to move to the inside. He moves so aggressively, he nearly puts himself in the pit wall. He moves so aggressively to the inside, but Old School with no ERS in defense can't do anything to defend that move into turn 1, and Langfell into the race lead. I think for the first time this season Langfell is going to lead a race. Old School trying to get back at him down towards turn 4, but Langfell uses 60% of his ERS from the exit of the final corner all the way down towards turn 4 to hold the race lead, and he now leads the queue of cars. So let's see if Langfell can now try and break this DRS train, but having used all that ERS means he has nothing left in his reserve and nothing now to attack and try and pull away with.
No, and I'm really a bit surprised. F1 AMG as well is really down on his ERS, and we've seen a lot of races from F1 AMG. We saw him just cruising around with 100% ERS, so he's really struggling to keep up with these guys.
Yeah, he's really struggling. Today we've got a good old battle at the moment going on for 9th. Jan is really struggling on his medium tyres. Jono and Jonas are running side by side in the early part of the lap. They're trying to get the honour for the leader of the hard runners, and this could play really into their favour later on in this race if they're able to take these tyres to the end of the race. So Jonas running with almost 100% ERS.
He's Mashiro again.
Yeah, Mashiro down the inside then of his Red Bull teammate. Steve looks like he's letting through. Steve, despite having fresh softs and not the 3-lap-old softs that he did have before the lobby got restarted, Steve really struggling for pace, and all that was someone going off. That's Jono going into the grass on the exit of turn 1. He was too late on the brakes, and Jonas gains 2 places in one corner from 11th to 9th on those hard compound tyres, and he is now free to chase after Steve. So Jonas now, despite losing his front wing on the pit straight 5 laps ago, is now in a great opportunity to steal a podium from this race.
Yeah, he is, because he doesn't have to come in again, and this is what we're used to see from T. Jonas. Jono and Jan really battling, and the inside was completely open. T. Jonas could dive into it and gain 2 positions because Jan and Jono were battling each other. So yeah, great racing from him.
Yeah, just looking at the stream chat as well, JD Nolan's just put a comment in to say that he's come into contact with Jonas a few times on that lap. So it looks like they came into contact behind the safety car as well. So I'm wondering whether an impending investigation might be lingering over to Jonas's head at the end of this season, which could cost him in that battle for second. But at the moment, in that battle for second in the championship, Mashiro, having passed his Red Bull teammate, is still losing time to the soft runners. He can't do anything on these medium tyres. He just hasn't got the pace. So it looks like Mashiro has... At this point in the race, at least, we have obviously still got a long way to go, but if we don't have any safety cars and it stays like this, Mashiro at this point in the race looks like he could just have thrown away an easy race victory. Yeah,
I believe so. I mean, he's really struggling to get close to Isotopic. The gap is staying around the same now, and yeah, he just really messed up. I think he really messed up his strategy, or he's just that smart, and in the end he's gonna say, well, you know, Kanti, I didn't mess up. It was brilliant what I did, and I won the race.
Yeah, he might be playing us our own game here. He might be fooling us. We'll have to wait and see by the end of the race. If he takes his medium compound tyres to the end of the race, I will be utterly shocked. But we'll have to wait and see if he can pull that one off. He's got Tejonis. Tejonis is actually closing in on his Red Bull teammate. So at the moment, Tejonis and Mishiro are running at relatively similar pace on two different compounds of tyres. So we'll have to wait and see how that one plays out. Langfeld continues to lead then in the Williams. He's not quite broken DRS, but it does look like Old School at the moment is the cork in the bottle. F1 AMG close to the back of Old School, as is Lighty and Sean and Isotopic in this queue of cars. Jan and Jono are still going at it at the moment, and Jono's going to go through the outside line through turn 2, and he's finally got that move done on Jan. Jan, after a good qualifying, is really struggling for pace here, but he's got good straight line speed coming through turn 3. He's on the back of Jono coming down towards turn 4. He has the inside line on the McLaren man to the inside. Can Jono hold his way around the outside? He just about keeps the car on the road. He'll be at the outside for turn 5, which means he can't get to the inside for turn 6 and 7. He's going to try the outside line once again through 6 and 7. That would be an incredible move if he can pull that one off, but he just doesn't have the grip on those hard compound tyres. So Jan holds on to 10th place for the time being, but these two battling, they are already over 5 seconds behind Tejonis, and Tejonis has found himself in DRS range of Steve already. So Tejonis is actually, I don't want to play devil's advocate here or predict anything too early, but if Tejonis can take these tyres to the end of the race, he's got the pace to win this one.
Yeah, you can. Let's hope. You didn't commentate to curse him now, but yeah, he's doing great. And on a hard set of tires, he's doing incredibly well. And
yeah,
Jen and Jono, I think they just couldn't. Yeah, they don't mind the 6 seconds they're behind now. I think they're just having fun. I mean, it's great side-by-side racing from these two. It's incredible to watch.
Really, really good stuff from them, but this is massively costing Jan in that battle for 4th in the championship. All of his rivals in that championship are now ahead of him, apart from Steve, but Steve has just made his first pit stop in this race for the medium compound tyres, so we'll have to wait and see what his pace is like, as Jono once again going for a move at turn 4, this time down the inside of Jan this time, and he'll have the inside line for turn 5, but Jan so fast in a straight line round the outside of turn 5. He's going to try and get the move down the inside for turn 6 and 7. Can he hold it there? He hits the curb ever so slightly, but again, Jan defends the line through 6 and 7. Great defensive driving from the Mercedes, and he holds on to 9th place for the time being, but they're running nearly 2 seconds a lap slower than Tejonis at this point in the race. They're losing so much time. They're being caught by Flores now as well, who is closing in at a rapid rate after his spin at the safety car restart. So they're really, really battling for this one at the moment. At the front of the field again, Langfeld nearly a second clear. F1 AMG's passed Old School at some point in this battle. We completely missed that. And Old School now the first of the top 6 to come into the pit lane. He's the first of the top 6 soft runners to come in and change onto a set of tyres. What is it going to be? It's a set of mediums, I believe. Yeah, it's a set of mediums for Old School. So can Old School try and jump F1 AMG and Langfeld, get back into the lead of the race with an undercut?
Yeah, and Lighty lost DRS to F1 AMG, so he's struggling to keep up now. So yeah, let's see. I mean, the undercut can be pretty powerful, but it's a really short track, so yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I think these guys are going to come in this lap or yeah, next lap. I don't see them going 16 laps on the soft tires.
That'd be a big ask if they can do it. Someone might want to try and stay out, maybe give themselves a bit of an advantage of fresher mediums at the end. But the mediums look like they can hold up pretty well, so have to wait and see what they do. Langfeld then needs the race half a second ahead of F1 MG, but expect them in at the end of this lap. Old School's come out 2 seconds behind that massive battle going on for 8th place at the moment, so he's lucky in that he's not too close to the back of that field to lose time. Langfeld into the pit lane, F1 MG stays out, as does Lighty, as does, I believe, Sean as well, so the 3 of them all stay out. Isotopic, I think, comes into the pit lane. Yes, he does. Isotopic and Langfeld the next ones to come into the pit lane, but F1 AMG, Lighty and Sean all going a lap further into this race. They think they can take these soft tyres even further, and having fresher set of medium compound tyres at the end will be a good advantage for them.
Yeah, well, the fresher set at the end of the race is an advantage, but yeah, I think these tires are just, or they're just really, really good tire whisperers. These tires are going to be too short to keep an advantage over fresh mediums.
Yeah, as Langfeld comes out of the pit lane just about in front of Flores. Flores tried to go for a move down the inside, but wasn't enough room. Langfeld's actually managed to pull a gap on Old School in that pit stop range, so it looks like the first lap out on the medium tyres isn't really that much of an advantage. In fact, you lose a little bit of pace. Isotopic out in 11th, but 2.5 seconds off the back of Old School, but there was a few cars in between them at that point. So let's see what Isotopic's pace is in clean air. Jan and Jono continue to fight, and now Langfell is right on the back of this queue of cars in this battle, so this could continue to hold him up here if neither of them come in, and neither of them will come in. They don't need to as of yet. F1AMG stays out. Lighty, the next person to come into the pit lane. Sean stays out another lap himself as well. We're nearly halfway into this race, and still F1AMG and Sean haven't pitted off these soft compound tyres. The soft compound tyres actually seem to be holding up incredibly well.
Yeah, they do. I mean, the difference between old school and Langfell is pretty big for just one lap, so you lose time on the mediums and yellow flag.
Oh, that's Jan. Jan spun the car through turn 2, so it looks like that battle between him and Jono has finally come to a head, and they've made contact. Jan has spun the car down into 11th place. Lighty comes out of the pit lane, still ahead of Isotopic. He's behind Flores on track and behind Old School as well. Old School trying desperately to get back within DRS range, and this might help him because Langfell was now a little bit stuck behind Jono here. Jono now the leader of this queue of cars. He's on the hard compound tyres, but this is very interesting now. Langfell was the net race leader by the time everyone came into the pit lane. He is now directly behind Langfell, but 12 seconds behind Sir Jonas. That is a big gap for Langfell to try and close down.
It is. It is. But T. Jonas on the hard comp, yeah, I don't see them wearing that fast. 12 seconds is going to be a struggle to close that gap. But yeah, maybe he has the pace on the mediums as he did on the softs. And there's nobody in front of him to hold him up now, so yeah, let's see if he can do it. It's gonna be tight, I think.
At the moment, it's a battle between the two Williams for the race win. They started this race 6th and 7th, and they're now running in a net 1-2 position here. This is very interesting to see how this is going to play out. Langfell passes Jono. Old School still wasn't able to get within DRS range. Lighty trying to close in on Old School. Isotopic now runs 8th, Flores 9th. Sean's come out behind Isotopic now. He's lost a place to him. He should be able to get past his AlphaTauri teammate without too much trouble, but Flores is holding him up a little bit here. Steve's continued to lose time. Steve has lost a lot to the back of this, and Sean's run into the back of his teammate. Sean, what could have been a top 5 position in his best result of the season, caught out by Flores running a little bit slower on his older medium tyres, and Sean has now broken his front wing off the back of his teammate, and they look like they continue to make contact. Flores, I think, should have moved out of his teammate's way to give his teammate the best opportunity at a good result, and Sean's race has all become undone because he's broken his front wing off the back of his teammate. What a shame from Sean. What could have been his best result, as at the moment looks like it all could come to nothing for him.
Yeah, I mean, they were on completely different strategies. If I was Flores, I would have let him pass. But yeah, on the other hand, he doesn't have to give up the position. So yeah, but yeah, too bad. I mean, Sean could have used a good result.
Yeah, they continue to fight there. A little bit more contact in turn 2, and Flores is actually trying to get a move back on his teammate here, down towards turn 4. A massive inter-team battle here going on. A little bit of rage, I think, from Sean's side of things, having lost that front wing, and Flores is back through, and they continue to lose time. So Sean really stuck behind his teammate here, losing heaps of time to the queue of cars that he was right in the thick of it before the pit stop window. He's now dropped well outside of that and is dropping back towards Steve and Jan at this point in the race. Everyone has now made a mandatory pit stop in this race apart from Flores, I believe. He's the only one that hasn't. Jan's actually crashed.
Safety car.
Full safety car then for Jan. Jan has crashed the car through turn 6 and 7, and this has played
and look who's at the pit entrance as the safety car comes out in P1.
Plays right into Mashiro's hands. Mashiro, hats off to him. I don't know if he can predict the future, but he wanted another safety car and he's got it, and it's a fresh set of soft compound tyres. 16 laps into this race left. We know that they can get to the end of the race without any problems. They managed to do 18 laps on them. F1AMG did before the end. Where does he come out? I think he's going to come out directly behind Langfell here. So Mashiro's going to come out in 2nd place in this queue of cars, just ahead of F1AMG, I think. How fast is he on the pit exit? F1AMG actually might jump Mashiro here, and he does. So Mashiro comes out in 3rd, but on a fresh set of soft compound tyres. And when Mashiro put a fresh set of medium compound tyres on, he was losing out to people on 10-lap-old softs. So it looks like the soft compound tyres have a massive advantage here. And Mashiro's audacious, bold, weird strategy has somehow paid off for him.
Yeah, well, excuses. You didn't mess up your strategy, Mishiro. It was brilliant in the end.
Absolutely played out brilliantly for him in the end. That was, I will say, that was a bit of luck in that one. We didn't know how the rest
Yeah,
of
it
the race was
was.
going. We didn't know how the rest of the race was going to pan out as well. But that's played right into Mishiro's hands, and you make your own luck in these situations. He was in the right place at the right time to capitalise on it. Tejonis as well, that could have been a great opportunity for Tejonis to win this race, because Mishiro wouldn't have got to the end of the race on those medium compound tyres. Tejonis should have quite easily got to the end of the race on those hards, and he had a big, at least 11-second advantage over his teammates. So Tejonis could have walked away from this race with a race victory, but unfortunately that is not quite going to happen unless anything crazy happens now. Tejonis now in 6th, Mishiro in 3rd. Mishiro at the moment is going to steal 2nd place in the championship away from Tejonis at the final race of the season.
Yeah, you can, and Jonas a bit too conservative, I think, going for the medium. Just the car is a bit lighter. You're still behind the safety car, so it's gonna take a couple of laps. If I were to Jonas, I would have gone for the soft tires as well. Yeah, Mishiro. Now it's key for Mishiro to get some clean overtakes and not get stuck behind F1 AMG too long and shoot up your tires.
Definitely, but we've already seen that it's incredibly difficult to pass when you're in that DRS train. You're going to have to hope for a mistake from the driver in front or someone to drop at the DRS range. Also have a massive tyre advantage, which it looks like Mishiro does have at this point in the race. Just a reminder as well, Tejonis, 2nd in the championship, finished on the podium 8 times so far this season, and he could be on for a 9th podium finish this season out of 11. Has not won a race this season though, has Tejonis. He's finished 2nd and 3rd at least 8 times this season, but hasn't won as of yet, and that was his best opportunity so far this season to win a race, and it's fallen away from him. I'm sure Tejonis, he's had a great season, but he surely is massively frustrated that he's missed out on a race victory so far this season.
Yeah, I think so, and I believe this was his best opportunity if the safety car didn't come out a couple of laps ago. So, yeah, just as it was really lucky for Mishiro. For his strategy, it was destroying Tejonis' strategy.
Yeah, it really has destroyed Tejonis' audacious strategy that came about because he made contact with another driver and ended up in the pit wall. So he turned a negative into a positive, and now the positive has reverted back to a negative for him, unfortunately. It looks like the safety car's going to stay out for another lap, or is it coming in this lap? I didn't see the notice come up, but I think it is coming in, actually. So never mind, we're going to get racing once again. F1 AMG is raring to go. Nearly passes Langfell well before we get going again. Langfell really slowing them up. F1 AMG is side by side with the Williams man, and now Langfell goes, and F1 AMG has been caught napping here massively. Langfell has gone, and Mishiro is looking very racy in the Red Bull, trying to get the move done on F1 AMG down into turn 1 immediately. He looks down the inside. F1 AMG is very late on the brakes. He runs a bit wide. Can Mishiro get a good run through 2 and through 3? They're side by side in the background as well. Isotopic is side by side with Tejonis. Lighty was wide there as well. They're 3 wide in the background. Mishiro is still trying to go for a move on F1 AMG down into turn 4. He's moving all over the road but can't find a gap. Old School on the soft compound tyres as well is trying to make a move on Jono down the inside of turn 4, and he's made that stick, so Old School is up a place. Tejonis has passed Isotopic as well, so he's up into 5th, making up places on those fresh medium compound tyres. Old School and Tejonis are ones on the move at the moment. Mishiro is stuck behind F1 AMG, but what a brilliant restart from Langfell. He caught F1 AMG napping and has managed to break the gap towards the Mercedes driver for the time being.
Yeah, really brilliant. We saw the same thing. What was it in Italy? In real life, he just went really late, and F1 AMG wasn't expecting it. He was anticipating 2-3 times, almost overtaking him, but in the end, when Langfeld went and really restarted the race, F1 AMG didn't notice it. So then came under pressure from Mishiro just immediately after the restart.
Yeah, brilliant stuff from those drivers. Great stuff there. I believe the 2 Alpha Tauris have come into contact again in this race. Flores has made a move on Sean, and they made contact through turn 12. So Sean ended up off the road coming out the corner, and Sean is now stuck behind his teammate, and they've lost touch with the queue of cars in front, unfortunately, at this point in the race. F1 AMG's made the move on Langfell and completely missed it down towards turn 4. F1 AMG has opened up the taps on that Mercedes. He's used all of his ERS in a lap and a bit, and he's made his way into the race lead. How on earth has F1 AMG done this? He was struggling so much for pace. He didn't have the pace it looked like to win this, at least challenge for the race win. He's now ended up in the race lead, and while Mishiro was the one we needed to make moves, it's ended up being F1 AMG that's worked his way forwards and is now into the race lead. Yeah,
incredible stuff. I missed it as well, and yeah, he must have must have had a setup that's good for the medium tires, because even though he's almost out of ERS, he's showing the pace he needs in those slow corners as well.
Yeah, Mashiro only 0.3 seconds behind Langfell, but Langfell has ERS in his defence as well, and there's no DRS until now. DRS is now available for the drivers, and oh my word, Mashiro so late on the brakes, hit the grass, nearly ran into the back of the Williams man, just about got away with it. He's got away with no damage, so he can continue on, but that was a very, very close call for Mashiro. So Jonas in the background trying to get it moved on Lighty for 4th place. So Jonas working his way forwards nicely, trying to make up for the compromise strategy, but he's not close enough to Lighty through turn 4 to make the move stick. They've dropped Isotopic and Old School behind as well. Old School on those soft compound tyres can't keep up with Isotopic, so I'm wondering whether for some reason in the second half of this race the soft tyres aren't as good as we thought they were.
Yeah, and as I was watching Floris and Sean again battling really hard with each other. Yeah, it seems like the soft tyres are the fastest tyre at the start of the race, because Mashiro should have been able to overtake at least one of these guys on a softer compound of tyres.
Yeah, at least one of them you would have thought, yeah, would have been passed, but that's not the case. And F1 AMG is actually starting to extend that gap over Langfell, who has used pretty much all of his ERS to try and stay within DRS range. Mashiro has a little bit in reserve, but he's not using it just yet. Here comes Sejonis for a move round the outside of Lighty at turn 1. Can he get the move done? Sejonis sets the fastest lap of the race. In the meantime, tries to go for the outside. Lighty defends it nicely though on the inside of turn 1, through turn 2 now, and then coming through turn 3. Can Sejonis get the inside line for turn 4? He's going to dart right to the inside at the last moment coming out of turn 3. He has the inside line. He's used up all of his ERS in defence. Lighty trying to hold it round the outside. Can he do that? I think he's just about been able to. Lighty with a great defensive move around the outside of turn 4. Holds on to 4th place for the time being. Lighty is so desperate to try and get that first podium of the season. Holds on to 4th place for the time being, but Sejonis is looking incredibly racy in 5th place.
He does, but what a great defending around the outside of Ooh,
Lighty's off the road. Yeah, Lighty's spun the car coming through turn 9. He's kept it out of the barrier. Doesn't have any damage. Back onto the track. He's ghosting with Steve at the moment. He's running down in 8th place, but Lighty from 4th on the road is going to drop down to 9th place, having slid off the road on those tyres. He's got no damage, so he can work his way back through. Let's see where he can work his way up to. But what a shame for Lighty. Once again, on for maybe a top 5 finish, has fallen by the wayside with a mistake through turn 9.
Yeah, this is what we saw in this.
Sorry to jump in there. Mashiro going for the move at turn 1. Langfell, no defence offered at all. Mashiro had the inside line easily and made the move stick. He's up into 2nd place now.
Great, and he still has DRS, so great overtake. Took him quite a while, but great overtaking. Now he has to really defend from Langfell as well. But yeah, Lighty, this is what we saw from Lighty at the start of the season as well. It's all kicking off now. Old School with Isotopic.
Yeah, Isotopic loses a place down to 6th, Old School up into 5th place, and this is playing massively into Old School's hands for that battle in 4th in the championship. Jan is out of the race, so he can't battle for it. Isotopic is currently down in 6th. He's 1 place behind Old School. There's only 4 points between them in the championship standings. Steve and Old School are level on points as well, coming into this race in 5th in the standings, and Steve is 8th. Old School's 5th. So Old School at the moment looks like he's going to take 4th in the championship at the final round of the season if he can continue this pace. He's also on fresh soft compound tyres, so he will have a pace advantage at this point. Isotopic really struggling for pace now, having dropped out of the DRS range to the drivers in front. He's dropped well off the pace now, and now is under pressure from Yono, who's recovering after that early spin in this race. He's trying to look to the inside of Isotopic for turn 1. Is he late enough on the brakes to get that move done? He is not, so Yono stays in 7th place for the time being. Lighty and Steve meanwhile still battling. Lighty's worked his way past Steve already on those medium tyres. He's up into 8th place. Steve trying to come back at him. Steve has really struggled for pace in his Red Bull in this race today so far. He's not had the pace, and it's just going to cost him in that battle for 4th in the standings, and it's also going to cost Red Bull in their battle for the manufacturers as well. Lighty up into 8th place, working his way back through once again. But another noticeable change to Jonas has managed to work his way into DRS range of his teammate and is not out of the battle for the race victory just yet.
No, he isn't. There's a nice little 1 to 4th DRS trade now. Battling as Sean and Forrest just keep on battling. Wow, incredible.
Great stuff from these two. I don't know how on earth these two haven't ended up in the wall yet, but they are going hammer and tongs at it for 10th. They are really battling. The last two drivers on the track really going at it. Sean still hasn't been able to find a way past Flores. Meanwhile, Mashiro to the outside of turn 1, round the outside of F1 AMG. Can he pull that one off? He's late on the brakes and he's made the apex nicely. Great through from Mashiro, and he's into the race lead. He saved up a little bit of ERS in his attack on F1 AMG, and he's up into the race lead. Can F1 AMG try and fight back down towards turn 4? He's on his ERS, he's on the DRS trying to look to the outside, but he can't get the move done into turn 4. So F1 AMG stays in second place for the time being. It took him 8 laps to do it, but Mashiro is now into the race lead.
Yeah, and the softer compound of tires should really work in these slower corners on traction. So he really needs to create a gap between him and F1 AMG to keep in front of these guys. But yeah. He took his time, but in the end, he's driving around the P1 now.
Yeah, doing a really, really good job. At this point in the race, Mashiro will have, as Sean unfortunately has left the session, Mashiro will take second in the standings as it is. If Tejonis passes Langfell on track, then Tejonis and Mashiro will be level on points coming out of this race, depending on who has the fastest lap. If either one of these has the fastest lap and they finish first and third, then that's going to decide who's going to be second in this championship. It will be decided by 1 point, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Tejonis has the fastest lap of the race at the moment. I think he's currently in possession of that in 4th place. So if he gets ahead of his teammate and holds that fastest lap point, he will take second in the championship by 1 point over Mashiro.
Incredible. Yeah, it's Old School who's holding the fastest lap now, but yeah, incredible. And what if they don't get the fastest lap? What is it done?
I think if neither of them get the fastest lap and Mashiro wins and Tejonis finishes his race in 3rd place, they will be level on points, but I think Mashiro will take second in the standings on countback of race victories. Tejonis does not have a race victory, Mashiro has 3.
Yeah. Well, yeah, too bad, but just great. I mean, that's how close it is. And yeah, I wonder if there's gonna be team orders then between Langfeld and Tejonis for the points.
I would not be surprised. Langfeld's just about keeping within DRS, which have F1 AMG in front. Mashiro crosses the line. He's now started lap 30 of this race. He's just broken DRS and F1 AMG now, so the battle for second is really going to be hotting up. And this is the first time this season where F1 AMG has been in the lead battle, and he's not been the fastest of the ones in the lead battle. He's really struggled for pace today at Brazil. Doesn't look like this is a track that suits him. He's used all of his ERS when we usually see him running with a lot more ERS than this, and he's just struggling to keep up with Mashiro in front. Mashiro obviously does have the tyre advantage, but it doesn't look like that big of a tyre advantage because Old School currently running in 5th place, can't break DRS to Jono and can't close in on to Tejonis in front. So the soft tyres, while they are faster, they don't seem to have that much of a pace advantage around here. Looking further down as well, Isotopic now in 7th behind Jono, meaning that Old School at this point will take 4th in the standings away from Isotopic in the final round of the season. Lighty starting to close in a little bit on Isotopic, trying to recover from that mistake, but he's not really close enough to capitalise just yet. Steve currently running in 9th on the soft compound tyres. What a shame this race has been for Steve, with so much promise and so much pace shown this season. This looks like another track that just does not suit Steve's driving style.
Yeah, it does. But overall, his season was really. He had a really good season. I thought he was going to come in, but it's just taken the time trial line over the finish. But yeah, overall, he had a great season, and yeah, for the season finale, it would have been good for him to finish higher up. But yeah, in the end, he did great.
Yeah, he's done great all season. He will end the championship at the moment as it stands in 6th place because Jan has retired from the session and Bircher is not here, so that he will hold on to 6th in the standings, which is still a very, very good result for Steve as well in this one. Lighty trying to close in on Isotopic out in trying to close in on Isotopic for that 7th place. This at the moment is still going to be equal Lighty's best result of the season so far, but it could have been once again so much more for him. Battle for the lead. Mashiro is still not quite out of DRS range of F1 AMG. F1 AMG has now broken DRS to Langfell, so I wonder if this is the time to allow Tejonis through and up into that place. And Tejonis has a lot more ERS in use here, and he's using a lot of it now. Looks like the two Williams are going to be battling on track, and Tejonis is going to go for a move down the inside of Langfell. Langfell leaves the door wide open for him, doesn't battle his teammate. Tejonis up up into third place. What a shock. Tejonis is on the podium once again. This will be, if it stays like this will be Tejonis' 9th podium of the season out of 11 races.
Yeah, incredible. 11 races, 9 podiums, is really good result. Langveld didn't, really leaving it wide open for Tejonis to overtake, and I think he's hoping Tejonis can pull him back into the battle with F1 AMG. And now I'm wondering if Tejonis can show the pace and win a position and in P2 for his championship battle with Mashiro. What was it? The 3.5 championship battle.
Yeah, the Division 3.5 championship at the moment behind F1 AMG. That's going to be incredibly interesting to watch. Tejonis is just about within DRS range. It all depends on the exit of turn 12. Can he keep within that 1 second window of F1 AMG coming out of the corner? I think he has. So Tejonis has got DRS on F1 AMG, and he's actually dropped Langfeld out of DRS already. That's how quick his lap was. So he's already broken that gap to his teammates. So Tejonis is now into this battle for the race lead. And what a great way to enter season. And Tejonis actually there just picks up fastest lap of the race. So that means that at this point, Tejonis will hold on to second in the standings by 1 point, just based on the fastest lap. So Mashiro is going to have to steal that one back. Yono's retired from the session, and we have another full safety car.
Yeah, in the Senna S's, if I'm correct.
That is coming out of turn 1. It looks like he spun coming out of turn 1 and hit the wall just before turn 2. So Jono from 7th place is now out of the race. And I think at this point for that battle for 4th, that might just about save Isotopic for 4th in the standings at this point.
I believe so. And I am wondering now, no, they're not. No one's gonna pit. No one's gonna be that stupid to pit now.
Yeah, too late in the race. It'll be a very bizarre choice. I think the only 2 people that we might see into the pit lane would be the AlphaTauris, but even if they do pit, they'd be too far back from the Cuba cars to catch up before the race got re-going again, so it wouldn't be worth it. Maybe Steve or Lighty might come into the pit lane because they've obviously made mistakes and they want to try and recapitalise on it, and they should come out still ahead of maybe the AlphaTauri drivers. Mashiro then leads the way. We're coming up to 3 laps to go. What a fitting way to end the season as well. Is Mashiro coming into the pit lane? Oh, I thought it was coming in there, but it was actually trying to dummy F1 AMG to coming in, and this time he stays out. So Mashiro, at least under this safety car, has decided to stay out for only 3 laps to go in this race, and he's still on the soft compound tyre, so he still has a big advantage here. Mashiro then holds the race lead with 3 laps to go. A great way to end the season with the top 3 in the standings all battling for the final race victory of the season. Can Mashiro pick up, I think, his 4th race victory of the season? Can F1 AMG pick up his 7th race victory of the season? Or can Tejonis pick up his 1st? That'd be incredible to see if Tejonis could pick up his 1st race victory of the season in the final race. It'd be great for his championship because he's finished on the podium so many times and hasn't got that first win yet. That'd be great for him, but it's going to be very, very close towards the end of this one. And I think based on how the safety car system works in this game, I think the safety car will be in at the end of this lap.
Yeah, I believe so too. And another thing, I didn't really pay attention to it. Penalties are gonna be into play as well now because it's gonna be so close. And I didn't really pay attention to it, so I don't know if Mashiro, F1 AMG, Tejonis or Langveld have any, but it can drop you a number of places now.
I'm just going to double check now actually, because I haven't had any warnings come up on my screen for penalties. So Mashiro has the 1 warning. F1 AMG has absolutely nothing at all, and Tejonis has a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, but he has pitted again, so that penalty has gone. So the top 3 are all battling fair enough on track. Langfeld, I think, has a time penalty in 4th, so that's going to cost him at the moment. So here we go then for the final safety car restart of the race. End of lap 34, start lap 35, and F1 AMG this time hasn't been caught napping. He's going to go for it for Mashiro down to turn 1. This could be crucial. There's going to be no DRS for the rest of this race. F1 AMG goes to the inside, but he's not quite close enough into turn 1. Mashiro holds the line for the time being into the corner. He keeps the lead, but F1 AMG looking very racy at this restart. He wants to get that moved on Mashiro because he knows that there's going to be no DRS in re-attacking drivers behind. Lighty's lost the place to Steve. Steve on those fresh soft compound tyres is up and running nicely, and he's up into 7th place trying to work his way past Isotopic, but Lighty's back down the outside once again round the outside of turn 4. Little bit of contact through 5 though, and Steve is going to get up into 7th place on those fresh tyres. He's made a place stick, and that pit stop has actually worked out quite nicely for Steve. He managed to catch the queue just in time, and he's got fresh tyres, massively fresh tyres compared to everyone in front of him. Let's see if he can gain any more places by the end of this one. F1 AMG tried it into turn 1. He gave it all he could, but in the end he just didn't quite have the grip to pull the move off.
No, he couldn't, and I think it's gonna be race done now for F1 AMG. With no DRS in play now, they both have around the same ERS amount of ERS, so I think it's gonna stay as it is.
Yeah,
if
it looks
no
like
one makes a mistake.
that. I was just about to say, if anyone makes a mistake, then that's going to really shake up the end of this one. Steve looking for a move on Isotopic into turn 1, but not quite close enough to make the move stick, so he stays in 7th place for the time being. Lighty's dropped back in 8th place after that little contact with Steve coming through turn 5. We're on to the final lap of the season. It's been a great season so far, and what a great way to end the championship. This has been an enthralling race. It's been a really, really good race to watch, but once again, it's Mashiro, F1 AMG and Tejonis. No matter what happens in a race, Mashiro, F1 AMG and Tejonis always seem to be the top 3, and it's happened once again. F1 AMG has won the championship already. He's currently running in 2nd place. Mashiro at the moment is going to lose that battle for 2nd in the championship by 1 point because Tejonis has the fastest lap of the race. No one has stolen it back off of him as of yet. We'll have to wait and see if Steve maybe can, because he's the one on the freshest set of tyres. F1 AMG with a little wobble there coming through turn 10, so I wonder if Tejonis could go for a move down and try and get him on the line. He's got more ERS than F1 AMG. Coming out the final corner, F1 AMG, a little bit of a wobble for Tejonis as well, but Mashiro is going to come up to the line. He's used up all his ERS in these last 2 laps to try and hold on to the race, and he's done a brilliant job. He got a bit lucky in the end, but Mashiro is going to win the final race of the season at Brazil from pole position. F1 AMG did have a penalty in the end, so he drops down to 3rd. Tejonis gets up into 2nd place. Great comeback from him, and that means Tejonis does secure 2nd in the championship anyway, and it's going to be by 5 points, or I believe by 6 points in the end, because he has the fastest lap as well. Great comeback from Tejonis, and once again Tejonis driver of the day for the most positions gained in that race, from 7th on the grid up to 2nd. But once again Tejonis tantalisingly close to that first race victory of the season, and unfortunately this season at least he's not going to get that race victory.
No, he didn't, but he's 2nd in the standings, and again, shown great race pace. Just missing out on a couple of tenths, so yeah, good job him in, and 2nd in the championship, so it's not that bad.
Definitely, he can walk away from this championship being very proud of what he's done. He's finished on the podium 9 times out of 11 races, which is an incredible feat. That is brilliant stuff. He's been definitely the most consistent driver of the season, I would say, in terms of pace, being up at the front. But Mashiro takes the final race victory of the season. Here's a 4th race victory of this season. Brilliant stuff from him. Tejonis in 2nd, our champion F1 AMG on the podium in the final race as well. Struggled for pace throughout, but ended up on the podium anyway. Old School ends up 4th. Steve ends up 5th, and I think, well, the Isotopic down in 8th. That means Old School is going to pick up 4th in the standings in the final round. Great stuff from him. A good comeback after a compromised race. Steve, that final pit stop for him played beautifully into his hands, and he goes up into 5th place. He's going to just miss out on 4th, but I think he might jump ahead of Isotopic as well, so he might get 5th in the standings. Langfeld down to 6th because of that penalty. Flores ended up in 7th after that final safety car restart, so he gained massively at the end of that one. Isotopic down to 8th after a great mid-season. Unfortunately couldn't hold the pace out to the end. He's going to miss out on 4th in the standings. Lighty down in 9th. What could have been for him had he not spun midway through that race. Sean in 10th, the last of the finishers. Yono crashed in the final few laps of the race. Jan crashed as well, and so did JD Nolan, retired in the pit lane early on in the race after a lot of front wing damage. But that was a crazy way to end the season, and a brilliant drive from Mashiro sees him win the final race of the season.
Yeah, it is a great result from these guys. Mashiro picking up his the last race of the season. F1 AMG already champion, but he came on track today, finished 3rd on penalties. But yeah, and Tejonis again, a bit disappointing on qualifying, but great race pace overall, and finished 2nd on his 9th podium.
I'm sure that Tejonis will be focusing a lot on his qualifying pace next year, because if he can get onto pole position and can keep the race pace that he has, he is a massive force to be reckoned with. So we'll have to wait and see what he can do next season. But it has been a brilliant Division 3 season. We've had some amazing racing throughout the season. This field has been so close throughout as well, and it's just provided some great action. Congrats to F1 AMG for winning the championship last time out. Congrats to Mercedes as well for winning the manufacturers after that race as well. Despite Jan retiring and Mashiro winning the race, Red Bull were just too far back to try and get that championship win. They fought valiantly and they got a good result in the end, but in the end Mercedes walk away with the manufacturers as well. So a double victory for Mercedes in the drivers and the manufacturers this season. But that is where we are going to end off the stream today, guys. It was a bit truncated. We had a split in the stream after that little bit of a lobby glitch, but we got there in the end, and that is how we finish off the season. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning into the stream. Thank you, everyone, for commenting on the stream as well. Thank you to Conti for joining me in the commentary box season long. It has been great to have you here. It's been great to see you grow as a commentator as well. Your first commentary this was as well at the start, and you've grown massively throughout, so it's been great to watch. And thank you as well to all the drivers for taking part in Division 3. From myself and Conti, though, it is thank you very much for watching us all season, and we will see you next season for season 2 of TTML. But from myself and Conti, it is thank you very much and goodbye.